Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order at 6 o'clock. If anyone is participating electronically.
We have Nicola this evening and our Director of Community Services, Dexter Sargent, is online.
Thank you. Next is the adoption of the agenda. Everyone had a chance to look at it. I need a seconder. The motion is moved by Councillor Gardner, seconded by Councillor Tiber. Be it resolved that the meeting agenda dated Monday, November 24, 2025 be adopted. Questions, comments? All in favor? Carried.
Councillor Maxwell, please.
Yes.
Nice. Thank you, Councillor Mick. If anybody has a conflict of interest, this would be the time to declare it, or before the topic in question arises. Anybody with a conflict at the table? No. Councillor Mick?
None for me, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda is the presentations and delegations, 5.1. This serves also as the public meeting for road closures for James Street, Rankin Street, and Peter Street. I'm gonna ask the clerk if anybody has sent in anything to contest it, or
I've received nothing for the room.
you've received nothing, and obviously nothing for presentations this evening. We would have seen it, so okay, so to go on record that we had it public. It's been published in the newspaper for the last 2 weeks. And I guess the town will move forward with this now. 5.2, public meeting for input on the Town of Mattawa 26 to 23. Town of Mattawa 23 to 26 strategic plan. With no further delay.
To 2030, our apologies. for-
Okay, I see that so it's 23.
No.
What, 2026 to 2030 strategic plan.
26 to 30. I didn't pick up on that one. Monsieur Clément, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Given the length of the agenda for this evening, I could prattle on about the strategic plan for the next couple of hours, but I'm sure you don't want to do that. How much time are you prepared to allot me for this presentation?
Whatever you need.
Whatever I need.
Yeah.
Do you want to order breakfast now or? Thank you. Now.
There you go, you're up,
I'm up.
you're up.
I'm going to be looking at the screen, so you have your line of vision there. The strategic planning process started last year, or sorry, in April of this year. And one of the first things that council did was to appoint a working group to work with on the strategic planning. Okay, it was established in April of 25, sorry. Composition was the Mayor Belanger, Deputy Mayor Matt
Gardner.
Thank you, sir. Matt Gardner, Councillor Levesque, CEO Paula Perrier, Dexter Sarrazin, Executive Assistant Melody Byers, and myself. I'm with the Integrity Management Consulting Group. I'm here to help facilitate the development of the strategic plan. Now, this strategic plan, the context is that this is the first strategic plan in Mattawa's current history. And it's a 5-year framework for Mattawa's activities. It It's also based on Manawa's mission, vision, and values. It's also fits in the context of Manawa's asset management plan and its official plan. Now, being that it's a 5-year document, it's a dynamic document, meaning that what is approved now will be reviewed on an ongoing basis. Now, we know that over a period of 5 years, reality happens. So it's going to be reviewed and it may be modified, but with the intent of maintaining the main goals and objectives of the strategic plan. Now, the development of the strategic plan started off with the terms of reference for the working group. It worked with the review of the provincial planning statement. Ontario's laid out a schema for the development of municipal plans. And it's based on the mission, vision, and values that were established by council. And we'll get into those a little bit later. One of the things that we did was we reviewed the strategic plans from other municipalities. We looked at other municipalities in the province, municipalities of similar sizes. A number of these have developed their own strategic plan. So we took a look at those to see what ideas may come out of that for Manawa's purposes. We also undertook an electronic survey on residents of Manawa and the surrounding municipalities. And some of you might have been aware of that survey. Some of you may have responded to that. But basically, we're soliciting ideas from the residents themselves, saying, what do you think Manawa should be concentrating on for the next 5 years? And that the responses of those was analyzed and rolled into the information that the working group was considering. We also undertook an analysis, of Manawa's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. That was basically a freewheeling, open discussion about on those various topics to ensure that we're considering those items in the development of the strategic plan. Eventually, the working group drafted goals and objectives for council, and these were submitted to council for approval as a draft, with the understanding that this evening we would have this public meeting to solicit your feedback on the goals and objectives that were agreed to at this stage of the by council. Following this meeting, council will approve the strategic plan officially. And from that point on, it will develop its first operational plan. An operational plan is based on 1 year of activities, basically extracting from the strategic plan what's going to happen in 2026, 2027, 2028, etc. All with the understanding that these are going to be reviewed throughout the 5-year term. Items 1 and 2 that I spoke to are going to be posted on Manawa's website, and the full strategic plan itself will be on the website itself that you can go to when it's been approved. Do we have any questions at this stage? Yes? Next council meeting,
I didn't hear the question.
when will the strategic goals and objectives be approved by council after tonight's meeting?
Probably next regular meeting. Yeah, and there's only one in December,
Only one in December.
second week, second Monday.
Second Monday?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I don't know. Okay, if tonight, if there's public opinions, will that be reviewed and possibly added into the plan? So that would probably cause another meeting. And then.
Potentially, I would think so. Yeah, if there's something drastic, I think that was the intent of the group, was that we would bring back public input, and then if we had to review something, then we would.
Any questions? Good, good. Okay. So we'll be looking at the the goals and objectives that were agreed to by council at the draft at this stage of the game. Okay. Now, one of the things that I mentioned earlier is that the council approved vision, mission, and value statements for the town of Mattawa. Its vision, now this is a summary. All of which I'm going to say this evening is a summary given our time constraints today. Like I said, the strategic plan itself will be on the website with greater detail. The vision is to have a healthy, vibrant, and strong community. The mission of the town is to deliver efficient services via partnerships and public engagement. The values of the town emphasize cultural heritage, family prosperity, elder enjoyment, and businesses thriving. Now, the recent accomplishments to Mattawa, this is just over the last 12 months, the previous 12 months, or 12 and a half, or sorry, a year and a half, that the municipality has been engaged in working towards being prepared for the strategic plan. Now the town has, I'm just trying to find it here. Okay, the town has achieved significant milestones. 90% implementation of the recommendations based on an organizational review. Going back to 2023, there was a review of Mattawa's functioning, and 90% of the recommendations that came out of that study were accomplished, have been implemented. Now, it also reviewed the governance, administrative, and operational policies and procedures. So today we can say that the municipality does have these new policies and procedures for how the council functions, how the town is administered, and how its operations are carried out with public works and with the recreation. So those have all been written down and they have been implemented. The operational policies and procedures are just going now into the final stages of approval. There were key positions that were filled, some of which is coming out of the recommendations of the operational review. The town has a new CEO, treasurer, new fire chief, new director of community services, new supervisor of recreation and parks, and will sometime in 2026 have a new supervisor of public works. Now, the infrastructure projects that were completed, including Mattawa Street reconstruction and Dornan Hill reconstruction. And there are a series of other factors that were implemented in the current past. And like I said before, you can look at those at on the website. If you have any questions about that, we can get into detail about those issues if you like. Okay. So the strategic plan consists of goals and objectives. The major goals basically lay out the major directions, and the objectives themselves basically indicate how these goals are going to be met. Now, if you go one step further into 2026, when the town develops its own operational plan, what it will then do is take those objectives and break those down into work activities or work plans. So that can be very, very detailed for the following, or the subsequent 12 months and review deployments. So one of the first goals is the governance and community relations goals. The town focuses on transparency and enhancing community relations with stakeholders. That's the goal. Some of those objectives ensure transparency in decision-making and activities. Conduct duty to consult procedures and indigenous communities, and initiate semi-annual community relations meetings with neighboring municipalities. Next goal is with regard to economic development and growth objectives. It's to Manawa, sorry, I'm having a hard time reading that, I'm sorry. Manawa aims to promote growth through strategic development and economic initiatives by developing municipal land banks, and complete major capital projects. Submit funding applications for an economic development officer and to foster residential and commercial development with prospective investors. The next goal, in regard to municipal services improvement goals, the town is committed to enhancing service delivery and promoting its historical aspects with objectives of complete engagement, complete engineering studies for water development, not for water main upgrades, maintain the asset management plan and ensure library reopening, and to erect a commemorative plaque for the train station. Other fiscal responsibility initiatives, Manawa seeks to minimize taxation and maximize funding and efficiencies. Objectives, to keep tax increases to a minimum due to high local rates. Seek all available funding and secure long-term funding for projects, and aim for self-sufficiency in service delivery and timely completion of audits and budgets. So basically, that's the gist of the goals and objectives. At this stage of the game, I leave it to you for comments, suggestions. Yes?
Couple of goals and objectives, I have some things written down there. One of the things I did not see in there was emergency preparedness.
Mhm.
With everything going on. This is not like conspiracy, not like solar force. Last week was the biggest one. And all the news was carrying it in the West, and blackouts, all these different things.
Yep.
And I'm wondering what sort of one of the things I was wondering is what sort of thought has been given to that? Like backup, like does this building have a generator, like backup generator? I just thought that's like, and like satellite phones. Does the town own?
I believe the fire department has them.
One or two?
Nothing.
I think
Just
I
the
heard
one?
one, which is not really better than none.
Mhm.
That we can only call out. The reason I think this way is my background is in redundancy, communication redundancy, and I hear cell services. But that's the way I always think, what if something happens?
Mhm.
It's like, even something as simple as pharmacy on that side of the street and pharmacy here is redundancy of some kind. So I think it's important to take a look at that, and I know flooding are the common thing to think about, but I think there's, in the future, there's other things coming at us. And that's why I think this is a great community. Okay, it's a small community, it's a real community. That people know one another. And I think there's a lot of support that can be built in a what if situation. What do you do? Right. And there's groups getting together and doing different things, out there. But I think the town can maybe do a lot more in that area, or at least take a look at it.
I'd like to add to that, first of all, the town has a pretty elaborate, plan. Okay, and so do all the, communities around us. And actually, we do work together.
Yeah.
And we meet quarterly, I believe, and, we go through our plans. The satellite phone has been brought up and discussed many times, and we've got a lot of important players in there. Ontario, what's the group, the management, EMO's in there, Red Cross. We got a lot of partners working with us. And it's something that we review annually. And in the last 20 years, we've been nailed with 4 state of emergencies, so we're learning.
Yeah.
And every time we go through one, you know, it's not like a cookie cutter thing, you know, like you never know what you're gonna be faced with. As long as you're ready and you can pivot and then make decisions on the fly also. And so it has been taken very seriously, I'm trying to tell you.
No, good. Yeah, is there a document available of your emergency?
Yeah, we have a plan. We have a,
One of the things, to give one example, even a Starlink system, you know, Faraday, like if you have 3 or 4, let's say the internet goes out for the whole town. Once the event's over, electronically, maybe even cars are. I'm done. This is the way it could be. So you're able, you get a Faraday bag, costs you $200, you put a Starlink satellite system in it, store it for a rainy day. It will come out of that bag, work, and you're able to fire up internet maybe at 3 or 4 locations where people need internet. They can get. I'm just pointing one thing out, just one thing that I feel is important. Because the day the internet goes out, as I said, not just here, what's that? Communication in general.
Right.
So anyways,
Thanks. I'm making note of these questions and issues, and we brought back to the working group and the long process.
Councillor Gardner wanted to,
Yeah, I do agree that the communication redundancies are an important thing. I know just in my professional life, we have 3 different internet sources coming into our building. We have Starlink, we have regular DSL, and we also have a cellular backup. So there's multiple redundancies for when things fail, and it's come in handy many times. I do know that the town does have at least 1, if not 2 Starlink facilities that are operated by Starlink. 1 for sure. So, and that is our secondary emergency, I don't know what the word is, like our center or control center, I guess.
headquarters.
Our headquarters, yeah, should this not be available, then that is available, and that does have Starlink internet. I know that as long as you have power, then, you know, point it to the sky and you're good to go. But I do agree, the communication, internet, you can't do anything without internet these days, so.
And another example is here, we have a dedicated Bell Fiber. And we looked at the system you're talking about and it wasn't available for here. So, yeah,
Yeah.
so,
you gotta
So-
buy the RV.
yeah. You know, and also we try and remember that this town operates on a limited tax base, limited budget. You know, and we try and move our money around where it's most efficient. And I every time that we come out of one of these emergencies, we get high recommendations. I've been through 4 of them anyways, you know, and they're always impressed with the resiliency of our town, not only our town, but our neighbors, you know, and so every time we seem to, but if you think you know it all, then you don't. There's always something that you didn't plan that's gonna happen, and that's when I say you have to be able to shift. You have to be able to accommodate.
Other questions, suggestions, recommendations?
I have a question.
Yes.
If you guys want us to develop more, is there an easier way to go about finding out what's available? And that what you guys are willing to sell in town for us to be able to develop? And if we do want to develop another location, will you guys work with us to get that going? To do services?
I didn't hear it. Okay, can you speak up a little louder
Yeah.
or just move up?
So if we want to develop more and say if people want to buy more properties, can you guys make it easier for us to figure out what is available for us to buy? And if so, will you guys be willing to run services to some other areas that are in town?
Yeah, well, right now we're working on 250 acres up on Dorial Road.
Yes, no doubt.
Okay, so there will be at once it's developed, 101 probably lots there. Sure, I'm with you. If we can have an inventory of what's available now in town,
Yeah.
sure. I mean, that's something we can work on.
Yes, so you're-
Absolutely. We'd like to see homes built every day. You know, and all for growth.
Is there any incentives or anything like that for it? Like, are you guys offering any type of incentives for people to even come to the town, either for commercial or residential, to try and develop?
Well, right now, we gotta develop the land. We gotta get the infrastructure in place
Right.
before we can do anything. You know, and once, and we're working on that. We're working hard. Actually, now we have a access to the area, you know, where before you were climbing up a mountain, literally.
Yeah.
You know, so- Yeah, so, you know, it's, and again, it's money, and we put our best foot forward all the time when we hear that there's grants available and so on. And because we couldn't do it with just our tax base alone,
No, for
you
sure.
know, because I'll share this with you, about 17 cents of every dollar we collect in taxes is what we can keep to work. The rest is already spoken for through, you know, health stuff, you name it, so. So unless, and that wouldn't be popular, 20% tax increase, you know, other than that, we have to live within our means.
I'm just
And,
like even the
yeah.
infrastructure with commercial and stuff like that, like,
Yeah.
I mean, we're kind of dwindling as for stores and whatnot. Is there like any type of tax incentive in this plan or something that could actually?
Not at the moment, not at the moment, well, an incentive is, we've just spent over 300,000 to do all the engineering and everything to get Main Street remodeled.
Right.
The application is in right now for stream number 11, and if we're successful, we're gonna rebuild Main Street, so that's an invitation, that's economic development.
For sure.
You know, but we need the people that own the buildings, you know, to step up also. We don't own the buildings. Okay? Councillor Ross?
I'll answer one and two, if that's okay. The government has removed a lot of roadblocks that were put up before and a lot of the paperwork. So I think it is a little bit easier, and if not, I'm sure that the people here would be willing to work with you to make it more accommodating, for sure, and easier for you. Also, we don't have any incentives as of yet, but there's nothing saying that you can't come and talk to council and say, this is what I'm proposing. Is there a possibility for this to happen or for this to happen? Like there's always conversation that can be had, and you never know what's going to come out of those conversations.
Councillor Gardner?
Yeah, just to kind of answer question one, I don't think that we have and maybe we do, but it just hasn't been, I haven't seen it anyways, like a running stock or a map to show that all the property or all the properties that the town owns that we would be looking to dispose of or willing to dispose of. So maybe that's an exercise that we do need to go through, staff or council, to kind of get an inventory of everything that we do own, all the land that we do own, the properties, the road allowances, things like that. Decide what we want to keep for future development, what we need to keep for future road accesses, things like that, and then decide what we want to start putting price tags on or, you know, having available so that somebody comes in and they can get a document right away and say, this is what's available. So that's something that maybe we can work on. And then the other one was, are we doing anything to incentivize? So currently there is nothing. I know that previous council to the tune of 200,000+, and correct me if I'm wrong on that number, for a business on Main Street that is here that, you know, I think successful in the business or in the community. It's offered a lot of affordable shopping for people in the community that needed it. Unfortunately, might have helped close another one, but it's that's to debate. but the town spent $1 million and change on renovating a building and sold it for 800,000. So there was a good burden to the taxpayer of Mattawa to incentivize a large business coming to the community. That hasn't happened since, and maybe we're still recouping from that decision, but yeah, I think one of the, not to steal the line from the Conservative government, but when you call the town of Mattawa, the first thing that you hear is welcome home, we're open for business. So I think that's the motto of this council, is that we're open for any and all development, homes, buildings, multi-residential, commercial, anything. I think we're willing to look at anything that grows us, and you know, our tax base can always use any development too, so we'll take anything we can get, I think. And we're in the process of our last, it's coming official plan.
Yep.
Which will help some of that as well. We're working on a new official plan. The last one was 1980.
Last review, 92.
92, okay, so a year after I was born was the last time it was reviewed, so we're there. So yeah, so that's another big key player in development and people coming to our community. We'll be able to give them an updated official plan. Right now, we're giving them something that was, you know, probably not printed on a inkjet printer.
Any questions? No? Great. Okay. I think that's basically it for now. I've noted the suggestions that the council made this evening, and we can bring that forward to next meeting of the working group and take it from there. Okay.
Are we supposed to talk to you, or are other people going to be presented? Or am I supposed to?
This is gonna go back to the work group.
Yeah.
Gonna go back to the work group, then back to council to make a decision, either,
So I talk to him then if I have other issues.
well, if you want, or you can talk to,
What's the chain of
to
communication?
council.
Well, I'm just wondering
Yeah.
how it's gonna, once he sits down, and someone else speak.
If you have suggestions,
Yeah.
then speak up now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank
We're
you,
here to
Peter.
listen.
All right. So one thing I noticed, and it was confusing, and I got figured out because I found it on the website. But, on November 10th, we passed a resolution, for the strategic plan. And then I said, well, the resolution's already passed, if you read it, that's the way it's been interpreted. And it says who first and seconded, and the strategic plan is passed. But, and even the document that you've provided, the strategic plan, this is a draft, apparently on your website,
That's right.
and this should say draft.
And the resolution you're talking about, Joe, is mentions draft in it. That was the final draft presented to council before we had a public meeting.
It doesn't say it,
Yes, it does.
does it?
Yeah,
Well, do you want me to read it to you? Does
yeah,
it?
sure.
Okay. November 10th. Sorry, I have to see it. Because I just thought most things are labeled drafts until they're actually officially approved. So I thought we were coming to a meeting where this was already approved.
No.
No,
If you look at 7.5,
Yeah, I'm looking at 7.5.
okay, so if you go down,
Yeah.
okay, and whereas the strategic plan work group has completed its work on the strategic plan, and whereas the final draft of the strategic plan was presented to council on October 2025, so the
Right,
understanding
on October 20th.
that the
November
draft
10th.
plan would be approved, but it's the draft plan being approved, it's not like,
Okay, so it's in the wording of the language, because
yeah,
on November 10th, now therefore the result approves the strategic plan. Doesn't say draft.
but the,
No, but I mean, it's,
yeah.
yeah, but the, and whereas just before it states that it's still a draft.
okay, all right, so.
That was questioned at the table before the vote was taken. and it was understood by council that it was a draft.
Well, just, it should say that on this thing, until it's fine. That's just my, based on my experience. So, all right, I go through this. Our values in this, in your presentation, our local businesses apply. I think there's a serious problem, not a lot of downtown core, it's like open heart surgery. We need be more dialogue with business owners, to your point, there. You know, if they don't participate, you can do everything you want. But I think in good faith, the town is moving in good faith. But I think it's gonna take more communication with the business or stakeholders, or whatever you want to term them as, in the town to do something. And, you know, if you have a business, and I brought it up before, we witness people come, walk, go 3 to 4 stores that are supposedly in business. And they're not open. Like, how can you run a town if there's not some sort of consistency to hours? And I put it on the business owner, it's not your fault. But I don't know what the town can do. If someone is gonna take up commercial space in the town and they have a business, why would they wanna leave it closed? This is what I don't get. I don't understand this principle at all. And this is your most important artery. And if you can't draw people into this, and hopefully the official plan will address some of the things we've talked about, like the residential units on the main floors, that's secondary to the strategic plan. But somehow the businesses have to like wake up. I don't know what it's gonna take, but they're not doing themselves any good. They're not doing any good for the town. They're paying pretty good taxes. And I don't know why they wouldn't want to be at their business like it takes for an entrepreneur. And I'm glad to see you're going to support entrepreneurs. But what it takes to run a business, it's sweat, it's pain, it's whatever. But if you're not open, people aren't going to come. They're going to come once. They're not going to go again. You had your chance. So I just hope there's a way that the business, I don't know whether they refer to them as leaders or they're holding the town hostage, not really, but you know, something's got to be done. And if some of the townspeople have ideas for these things, this is awesome. Give the ideas. What do you want here? What do you want to see? Maybe they need ideas. So anyway, so I like that, and if we wanted to thrive, I think it has to be more open. And then,
Yeah, just with all due respect, Joe.
Yeah.
You're talking like we adopted this 10 years ago. We haven't. We hear you. We're telling you we want to do that.
I'm not even criticizing you.
But and you're saying, what can you do about the business? We don't own them. We don't own them, you know, we if they don't want to open their doors, there's not a thing we can do.
Themselves.
Maybe we should be talking to the business people, like you as a townsperson also help us to get the message out. Like we've been saying that, we're crying too, you know, and when, I'll use the example again, when, Scott's Discount closed, you know, the first initial reaction was it's our fault. You know, how can it be our fault? You know, I went to both levels of government. They were saying the exact same thing as we were saying. And we went to corporate, and corporate basically told us, go fly a kite, we'll do what we want, it's ours. Okay, so we can't force people.
No,
You know? Can you make it more appealing? Yeah, and that's what we're trying to do.
No, that's the Main Street stuff. It should be appealing.
You know, and once we put our heart and soul into what we're saying we're gonna do, you know.
Yeah.
It's gonna help.
I'm not,
If I hear correctly, you're suggesting that there be more dialogue amongst the business people in the community.
yeah, bring it here and that's the one. Okay. If I may, gotta be direct here. You can't-
I got two that I want to address also.
Three.
Counselor Levite, three, sorry, Gary.
I worked in North Bay at Delamity Shoes for 18 years as manager. And I belonged to the DIA. I was a member. I was an executive member on that on that committee. We passed policy, DIA is Downtown Improvement Area. Okay, and what we've done is we passed some policies and invited all the store owners and whoever had within the 2 blocks on each side of Main Street, brought them all in. And we set some policies and guidelines and time that they have to open and time they have to close. Okay, this is what we've done, and it's strive, but then when the malls start to open up, change things.
Yeah.
But maybe this is something that should get somebody that has a business on Main Street that might be interested to start one of those. But there's another factor to this. There's a fee. There's a downtown improvement area tax, which the municipality would collect for them, and they have some revenue to do changes or add programs or activities within the downtown core. So there's a lot of ways of doing that. It's just, right now, we gotta get this all organized first, put it in place, the official plan, and then this will all fall in. Because we can work at it and start having public meetings with the businesses and that, and have some suggestions from different people to say, what would you like to see on Main Street done? But it takes time, and I know we'll get there. We only got 1 more year left here. This is a 5-year plan, so we'll hope that we can continue and put it in place and start someplace.
Operational.
No, I just don't want to take it long, like, I'm just talking here.
Yeah, I know.
It's out.
Yeah,
It's
but
not an attack or
Yeah.
on the council itself.
it's going both ways, so,
Yes.
Councillor T-Bear first.
Hey, all we can do, Joe, is provide an opportunity for businesses to participate in things that we do. We could send an invite to the businesses. I'll give you an example. You were here, Mr. Seuss was here, Lucy, and I forget who else. Not one, when we provided that our Main Street revitalization plans, we had them all set up here on both sides. We had our engineers of record here to explain to people what was happening, to get their input on what they would like to see on Main Street. Maybe we forgot something, you know? Not one business person showed up, not one. And only 2 or 3 local residents showed up. That's very disappointing when you put in a $325,000 plan to revitalize. It's going to cost more money, but I'm just talking about the price for the plan for the engineers. So it's kind of disheartening when they don't show up. I was so disappointed. I sat here in this spot and I was devastated. I couldn't believe it, you know? So how do we get them to come when we provide? All we can do is provide it, the information. If they don't want to come and look at it, that's out of our control. So we do provide things for business people. We want to get them involved. We want to help them with their business. But if they don't come and talk to us, how do we get them involved?
Well, we need to.
Councillor Gardner first, and then we'll go back to you, Joe.
So maybe we take it for granted just that we're here and we're hearing this every week and we're a little bit more familiar, but for the sake of everybody else here. So this is the operational plan. This is the overview for 26 to 30. But every year there's, this is the strategic plan, sorry. Every year there is an operational plan. So I agree, if our values say that you know, we want our businesses to prosper, well, then in year 1 in our operational plan, there would be an actual line that we identify and say, this is how we're going to do it this year. And then in the next year, you know, maybe if that's not solved yet, then this is how we're going to continue to do it this year, how we're going to improve. So this is kind of just like the overarching statement. And then in every year's operational plan is more of the detail and fine print of how we're going to do that.
It's a moving target.
So it's, yeah, so this is the goal of the life of the plan, whereas your operational is like, this is what we're doing for 365 days and this is how we're going to do it. So that is yet to be developed. Year one hasn't been developed yet, and that'll get developed every year as we go. And like you said, the target kind of moves as you accomplish things and knock things off the list. But this is kind of the arching statements, and then how we go about doing it is in the next part of this plan, which is the operational plan year one.
And I'll feed on to that if you allow me. Promote and enable growth through the development of municipal property, major capital projects, and expansion opportunities. We've listed a bunch of objectives, develop land bank one, what we talked about, the 250 acres up there. Complete the Main Street rehabilitation program. The application is in, it's for $3.8 million. So that'll give but in our 2026 operational plan, we'll get to the details. But we laid it out here, those are ideas. Which one, we can't do them all on the same year. So we tried to see where we wanted to go. Complete the bridge rehabilitation project. So that's ongoing. The engineering's being done, environmental assessments being done, and then when intake 12 opens up, we'll apply there too. Complete the new official plan. We're healthy. We're getting there. Explore amalgamation of opportunities with our neighboring communities and the Ministry of Municipal Affairs. Because if we join forces, we'll be stronger. It's something we believe in that we want to pursue. So those are just giving the idea. As far as economic development, we didn't drop the ball. We will be submitting a joint funding application to FedNor under the Community Investment Initiative for Northern Ontario for an economic development officer. So the list goes on and on. We've got things in motion. We just need now to draw, once we have our plan adopted, then we can start working on year one operational plan. And something that we say we're going to do this year might not happen. It'll carry over to the following year. Maybe funding just appeared that we weren't aware of, and we got to move things around. So when Mr. Clement said it's a dynamic document, it is. It can change. And next year's an election year. We get a new council that might totally disagree with everything this council is doing, so, but at least we've charted a direction.
Yeah, no.
And I'll turn it back to you now.
Okay, so under governance,
So this is why I may address your concern, Mr. Miller. Years ago, we had a councilor, Mary Raresmith. She headed a group of local businesses. And they would get together and discuss business interests with the town of Ottawa. I imagine that one, the way of the Gilbert apple because things have changed. So it was in place once upon a time, like the business improvement.
so to address something you said about the economic development officer, the four communities, is that correct?
Yeah.
We're looking to share.
Right.
Okay, so what about going to townspeople? I'm sure there's a lot of really good brains sitting here resting, retired, to sit on some sort of committee, an economic development committee. I'd be happy to sit on something like that, if you want the input and report back to you and come up with some ideas. It may not be the same as yours, but these are ideas.
I didn't hear you clearly. So going to.
I just said, creating a committee, an economic development committee, from the townspeople. I'm sure there's people with great careers that are retired here that would give X amount of hours a month. Maybe it's one meeting every month, and you try and same way accountability and try and bring someone to the town. And it's just a thought because, we're looking to pay an economic development officer, but why? If we can engage the community and get some people involved, they're going to talk to other people and other people, so on. So that's just one thing. And then I'm looking at your goals and objectives to ensure transparency, inactivities in the decision-making process. So the two things jumped out at me. Even though Mattawa has been granted strong mayor powers, council will endeavor to defend the democratic process and ensure that all of council has a voice in all decisions. Now, that's noble, but you were given the strong mayor powers because of housing development. Like that's what it's based on. And that's something that should be published, you know, for people to see why the strong mayor powers are. And I don't know if you passed a resolution, but you've decided not to go with it or try to rescind it. I'm not sure. You said you sent a letter. I don't know if you said you were telling them to take them back. I don't know if you said that.
I declared the conflict that night, so,
Yeah.
but I know.
Okay, so I read over what it is, and I see it as a catalyst to your housing development. Like the reason I gave it to you was because you're doing a housing development, and then it's and it's all about integrity. It's the same way if you're running a business and you're gonna fire someone, you need just cause. You need a reason. You can't. And my understanding is that even though you've declared you're not gonna use it, you still have the power right now, Mr. Mayor. You still have the power, even with your resolution or whatever it is, to at any time veto or do what you have to do. And
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I know that.
And what I'm trying to say is leadership is very important. And I understand in a small community, we're all together. Okay, we've all grown up, or a lot of us have grown up together and been in this town. But I really think this is a catalyst that should be looked at more. And I have a lot of information that I dug into on it. Like the numbers that have rejected it, municipalities, who's used it, what they've done, some unjustified.
Yeah, just to let you know,
Yeah.
first of all, it's not only housing. There's a lot more than meets the eye to that. You know,
Yes,
there's a mayor's budget.
Yeah.
And there's a mayor that has the power to fire and hire
Yeah.
who he wants.
Yeah.
Okay, and council think that erodes the democratic process. I've just finished.
Yeah.
Because I want to understand it before I say anything. I just finished 8 hours of education on it. Okay, so I'm starting to learn, and it's not only about building homes.
no,
It's-
but that's the way it's presented.
Absolutely it is. Absolutely
Yeah.
it is.
But there are layers in there.
Yeah.
But
And you're
All I'm
absolutely
saying-
right when you say, like it or not, Mattawa has strong mayor powers.
But you're the
it's a
smallest,
fact.
you're the smallest town. You look at the names, the cities, it's all cities.
It was judged on councils with 6 councillors.
Yeah, council, that's one of the requirements.
That's why Mattawa, that small, made it, yes.
So I want to make a point that I think it's good. No matter what anyone thinks. If someone's afraid to be fired, well, then they deserve to be fired. If that's what it's meant to be. But if everything's in line, you still have the power of the council to block your veto or anything like that, someone's other hand. So all I'm saying is, it doesn't really impact unless you're abusing the power.
So we're,
That's-
yeah, now we're drifting away from
Yeah.
the strategic
Yeah.
plan. Yeah, yeah, no, and well taken, and I'm fully aware.
Residents in all matters of significance to the state of town address at least twice a year. What about quarterly reports?
Well, the work group decided twice a year. So put that on your list, Andre, that there's a suggestion for 4 times a year.
Quarterly report. Well, this is quarterly report, it could be. I put away, I don't, but anyway. And then economic development and growth. Development of this municipal land bank, and I've had some input on that. I've talked to engineers and stuff, and I like the idea of the official plan. And completing the new official plan, that's great. Simultaneously is coming in. And then promote support, submit joint funding to FedNor, so that must be for the economic development office.
Correct.
Okay, so that's good. Thank you, trying something. And then I wrote here, Main Street business, community business that support the community. The town has to participate in this as well. Like, buy local, buy local, buy local. Like, if you really want the Main Street to do something, I can't believe every evening I drive down, there's not a car in the street, or there's maybe one parked in front of the jewelry store, that's it, you know? So. And then objectives, secure funding for infrastructure for the improvement of the Mike Brown Arena, maximize multi-use opportunities. New marina?
You have $30 million? We don't.
Oh,
We tried it, or the past council tried it, 27.5 million, and they just laughed at us. Population 1,900.
well, I'm just saying.
I'm sorry there, we're 1,900, we have an arena, I'm thankful we have one.
Yeah.
I think we should try and preserve what we have before trying to build a Taj Mahal that we can't afford.
And my last point, on this, and I had others, but I'm taking too much time. But, on the objectives for fiscal responsibility, what's the cost to the town currently for, okay, divest the long-term financial commitments such as the affordable seniors housing with a $5.6 million loan? Now, I know you inherited this liability.
That's right.
Okay? But what is being done proactively to divest and get rid of it? And what are you subsidizing per month at this point, now that you're paying interest? If you can answer that question. If you can't, it's okay. But it's costing the town now every month, right?
It's been costing the town every month since it's
Since it
been built.
opens.
So how do you,
So that level of detail will be picked up in the operational plan.
Okay.
Year 1, 2, or 3, and also within the work plans as the part of the operational plan.
We're just being upfront that that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
You know, how are we gonna do it? We've been working at it. A lot of it, you know that, a lot of it is confidential at a certain time when you're trying to broker a deal. So,
well, I'd like to help with that, or in private, give you some input of why would you get rid of it?
I invite you to come and see our CEO in the office and share that.
Okay,
Good?
I have other things, but I think it's.
Councillor Gardner.
Just, I don't want anybody to feel like they're limited for their input, so, is council okay if Andre touches base with people from the public privately? Like, is that something that we're willing to entertain, the opportunity for
He's
Joe
always
to
said-
reach out to Andre privately? Like, I get that, you know, if everybody has half an hour, we could be here for days, we'll be ordering breakfast, but if there's an opportunity, I think for some of those small things to reach out to Andre, I would welcome that.
That I could prepare and set, like, of the points I have written out on my phone, I was going to go through a bunch of things. But what I can do is give the key points, just points. And then I'll send you that.
It'd be very easy for me to share my email address. And if it's okay with council, to meet with individuals who would like to have some time with me.
Sure. I have no objection.
Yeah,
Where are you located?
sorry,
Where are you from?
Sudbury,
Okay,
but we can get over that part.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
we can Zoom.
As long as we can keep this controlled too, and I don't mean ideas, I mean financially.
Yeah.
You know, like, this is not a free for all where we can spend, you know, we have a budget to respect.
Yeah.
You know, and I think you know what I'm trying
Sure.
to instill here.
Yep.
It's not limiting, ideas, but it's limiting how it's gonna be done when it comes to our purse.
Another way you can do this too is, if he's comfortable to talk to our CEO and leave the information to him, we can send it to you.
Sure.
And then you go over it, and then you can give this gentleman a call and say, I looked over your proposal and your ideas and suggestions, and these are the topics that I'd be interested to discuss with you, and instead of having back and forth, and you sending the town the bill and these people gonna pay for it, so.
I think that's that. I have no problem. I'll give them the information to follow.
We'll set up a contact meeting this evening before. Okay. If anybody else is interested in my email address?
Thanks.
Okay. Get a pen and paper? Yes. Oh. No, I didn't. It's ANDRE57@gmail.com. DRC 57 @gmail.com. So in the meantime, you can send me your suggestions. You think you have something on paper? We can forward it to me.
I'll put it to them.
Okay, and we can have a conversation on that.
I'll see Paul and we'll. That's what they wanted.
Sure. Okay. And so we're still looking at the deadline of the next council meeting in December.
If it's feasible.
If it's feasible,
Yeah.
okay.
We have another committee meeting anyway that's coming up, right, in 2 weeks?
Wednesday?
Or next Wednesday, okay.
Yeah.
This Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Other comments?
Okay, so thank you, Andre.
Thank you, council.
And we'll move right along. So number 6 is the adoption of the minutes. The motion is moved by Councillor Levite, seconded by Councillor Bigelow. Be it resolved that okay, so moved by Councillor Levite, seconded by Councillor Bigelow. Be it resolved that council adopt the minutes of the regular meeting of November 10, 2025, and the committee of the whole meeting of November 17, 2025. Everyone had the chance to see these circulated minutes. Any questions or comments? None? All in favor? Councillor Mick?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carried. No notice of motions, correspondence. Oh. First one from AMO Fall Economic Statement. Anybody want to comment on it, or Councillor Mick, just interrupt me if you want to touch up on something.
Will do. Thank you.
So 8.1, we're good to go. 8.2, Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing, Fighting Delays, Building Faster Act 2025, Bill 60.
Mayor Balong, can I do a point of order, please?
Yes.
While council is discussing their correspondence, nobody from the audience should be discussing.
I didn't hear that last part.
Nobody from the audience should be discussing anything while these guys are doing your correspondence.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So if anybody else needs to have a conversation, I'll ask you to maybe exit the council chambers and have your conversation in the hallways. Okay, so any comments or questions on 8.2? None. 8.3, Mattawa Hospital and Algonquin Nursing Home 2025 Tree of Light campaign. Councillor Gardner.
I can't be there that day, but is somebody from council going to represent the town at their tree lighting? I think it's the 13th. It's a week.
What time is it?
I'll be there, 'cause I'm going.
Be there, okay. Unfortunately, I'm out of town. I can't make it, but I just want to make sure that somebody from council is there to represent us. Whoops.
Okay, so whoever can attend is invited
I
to.
don't know what time we're at.
I got a thing at home, I have to look, sorry, I'll text you.
Okay, thank you.
It doesn't say on their letter. Eh?
Yeah, it does actually,
It
I
does?
think,
Okay.
or it says in the invite that I got,
It
I
says
think
on-
it's due to,
Yeah, it doesn't say the time. It says, take part of lighting in the tree at the Algonquin Nursing Home on December 13th.
There's no time here, Garrett, that's
No.
all.
oh,
Right.
Okay, I go in there every day, I'll ask.
no, I got it at home, I got it from my sister,
Share it, Gary.
Yeah.
8.4. United Township of Headclar and Merida, request for auto extrication services on Highway 17 between Deux Rivières and Mackey. Councillor Gardner?
Yeah, so just another request for our fire department services. I think that this one is a little bit beyond our capability and maybe our like how comfortable we are. Just wanted to throw some stats and some numbers here just to put it into perspective. Keep in mind that our trucks are governed at 105, so you don't get there very quickly. Our current boundary is the bridge at Bissett Creek, I believe. Is that still where it was? It was there when I was there. The boundary to, so Deux Rivières is 21 minutes away, 34 kilometers from the Mattawa Fire Hall. Mackey, which would be the far end of what their request is 76 kilometers away from us, 47 minutes. So the exact equivalent basically to like driving to like Blossom. So it's a haul, and I think that's a long way for our fire department to be away from our community. I don't want to ever see anybody in a situation where they don't have access to fire services in the event of an accident or something like that. But I don't know if it's our responsibility to take care of the highway all the way down that distance. At some point, the provincial government, I think, has to make sure that their highways are safe and not have it rely on the municipalities to go that far away. My hope would be that they can come up with something in the middle, and Bissett Creek just happens to be the exact midway point between us and Deep River. So if Deep River could cover from their end to Bissett and we could cover from our end to Bissett, that covers the gap for everybody in between, and it doesn't extend our distance at all further than it already is. And Bissett Creek is still 53 kilometers and 34 minutes. So it's still a good haul for us, but I would be worried about going any further than that. I don't think I would be interested in going further than that.
Councillor Levesque?
I tend to agree with you, because when I was in the fire department, sometimes we had to go beyond that distance because the accident was only 4 kilometers, 5 kilometers past that. And you know, when you know that they're looking for extrication, you don't know the seriousness of it. But the thing is Laurentian Hills used to cover that area before, and now that they don't. Okay, because their insurance is saying that their fire truck is gone from their territory to some other district to do highway rescue or whatever they have to do, is that their liability and the people that is needed, the fire department at the time, they were all worried about it getting sued, so they backed out. So they went to Deep River, and Deep River Council refused to allow them to go. Then the other closest place to it was Petawawa Fire Department on the base. But they won't go out that far unless it's a massive disaster that's happened, and they'll maybe send out somebody. So they're looking for somebody to do it, and I think we should send them a letter back to push their MPP to look at the Ontario Fire Marshal to set up something for that area and work something out. Because I don't think we should be out there and leave our municipality at risk for an accident in this area, because we're on the main highway and all these transports that's coming through here. So we need to be sure that our community is safe first and then cover to up to Bissett Creek. Thank you.
That's all right.
I just want to ask a question, but is it only the fire department that can do extrication services? That, like, the police don't have that ability or anybody, just the fire departments?
You gotta be trained.
Okay, so can they be trained, can others be
I
trained?
don't think they'll have money to do that, but anyway,
Well, somebody has to.
I know.
Well,
Are you done? Councilor
Yeah,
Ross?
yeah, I just,
Councilor Keeber?
what the letter is asking is if we would be willing to sit down and discuss. And they're all already, they're saying, we would appreciate the opportunity to discuss possible arrangements, including response protocols, cost recovery, and any operational considerations needed to make this feasible. So they're not asking us to do it, they're asking us to sit down and discuss it. And I think we should not turn our backs on our fellow, but we used to supply Mariah Head
Yeah, up to Bissett, yes,
with service.
but just up to Bissett Creek.
I thought it was a little further than that.
I think it is a little bit further, to be honest.
Pardon?
It is further, but we always said it was the bridge.
Yeah.
It's kind of just like a land record, but.
Yeah, okay, but, I think if we sit down with them and find out what their needs are, and if it's feasible, and if it's not, we walk away, that's all, but there's nothing wrong with sitting down and discussing what their needs are and what they want, and how they're gonna pay for it, that's another important thing, and what it's gonna cost for us to do it, so. I don't think I don't see the problem with at least sitting down and discussing it. Thanks.
Councilor Bigelow?
I would obviously agree with Councillor T-Bear, and but obviously it's gonna take very, very strict policy on our end. So like as an example, so like when you're going to a house fire, you need a minimum of 4 people to actually go inside. So that's really not a lot of people either. So working out what's gonna protect us, but also like there's areas where you call 911 and nobody's coming. So if we could do something, I would be all for it, obviously, but it's going to be a very interesting conversation. Which I do think we should have, absolutely.
But the fire chief will.
You're asking to have a conversation, go ahead, but Deep River is 100 kilometers from here. We're being asked to go out almost 80 kilometers. So they're right next door and they can't help. And I don't like the idea of exposing our community. I mean, I've heard this all along, when you guys get a fire call, you're lucky to get 4 guys.
Right.
Or 4 firefighters, sorry, I'll take that back.
We have like 10 or 12 people right now. So.
Yeah, but, okay, but people work, people have different, so we have 4 that are available and they're gone. They're gonna be gone for 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 hours. We got a vehicle gone too.
But we're also being paid for that at the MTO rate.
Yeah, but we're leaving our town in jeopardy. What if?
I think we have to look at the actual number of calls like that we get here, and then which ones are the actual highway calls, and then look at the response as well.
I support you to go have a conversation, but I will not support our fire department going out. So I'm just being totally honest, brutally honest. Because if we see someone burn and something happens, oh boy, we're gonna be in trouble.
But it's just
We're gonna be
asking,
liable.
it's just asking for excavation services.
Extrication.
Extrication services.
Yeah, but
Not
it's
asking for a
it's still the vehicle, the equipment, and I heard minimum 4 firefighters. I don't know all the details. I don't know either. But I'm telling you, if you want to have that conversation, go ahead. Like, I'm not interested. I think this is way too much. We're talking about almost going to Deep River now.
I think you
That's
should.
spending that's wear and tear on our vehicle. I know we get paid. I get it. but we're also exposing ourselves to risk. That, and now, I'm gonna be repeating myself, so I'll just leave it at
Can I
that.
suggest something?
So I'll go here
Oh,
first
sorry,
and
Matt.
then you can, Councillor Gardner.
Yeah, just the last meeting, and it was just in our minutes that we approved, the last meeting, we just had a resolution, I think that was unanimous at the table, that we had another ask, and we didn't want to give just fire services, we came back with wanting more, so it's not fire service, it's extrication services, which is part of what they do, but we all know that it's more than that. You get called for the fires, you get called for everything that's related, because that's the only number, that's the only people that are answering the phone, I guess, when the call's made. So I wouldn't support going that far. I support going as far as we do, and I think that we're doing more than our fair share.
Yes.
There's a fire department that's even closer to us, in the sense that, not much closer to us, but there's a fire department that's a neighboring municipality that's closer to us, that, you know, maybe they should entertain looking to go that far. We have the gap in between of where they do, so we have control of the highway, and then it stops, and then we get it again after Cameron, right? So maybe they should have the conversation with them. I'm just not interested in, I don't think our fire department, again, is a candy store. I don't think that it's our responsibility to make sure that our highways are safe. I think it's the province's responsibility to make sure that there's somebody to answer the phone when there's emergency on the highways.
Councillor Levesque.
I'd like to ask our CEO if there's a possibility that you could sit down with our fire chief and get a report done of what his thoughts are for the request that they're asking, and to look into it, and then come back with a report to say it's not feasible for us to go that far out, or is it feasible, or can they work something with another fire department down there?
And is this in advance of meeting their request for a conversation?
Yes, please, because then we'll have some documentation that we can sit with them and say, look at, and then the chief should be part of that too, the conversation. Please,
I can do that.
thank you so much. Going through you.
Any other comments? Councillor Mick, did you want to add something?
I would just second what Councillor Levesque just proposed. I'd love to have a conversation.
Thank you. All right, 8.5, Fanon, Northern Commitments in Ontario's Fall Economic Statement. Anybody want anything read there or question anything? No? 8.6, Castle Home Quarterly Capital Levy Notice. Comments? None?
Is there, I'm sorry,
Councillor Levesque?
was there any communication done between you and them, or are they still working out their situation that they're stuck in? Between management and that?
I'm not following your question.
Well, there was a different department heads that have got changed, CEOs and that. Castlewoman and Castle.
They're two totally different
Yeah,
issues.
so,
This is Castle Home. This is the agreement that not the agreement, but the certainty that we signed with Infrastructure Ontario, that we would pay our share into it. The past council agreed to it. And this is the first 2 quarters of this year. They took it out of reserves. And the third one, they're telling us the price, and they're telling us it's due by the end of January. So am I getting that right, Paul? And I believe our share is a little over 6,000, and that's only interest only.
that's not pretty.
1561 per quarter.
Okay. See what we can do, yes.
And when we're doing this, or if we are sending this money, is there a chance we can ask the age-old question of when the hell we're getting out of this?
Yes, that's true.
You know, I mean, we gotta keep the pressure on, your worship. I know you're doing it.
The pressure is on. The
I know,
pressure is
I
on.
know, but let's do it again on behalf of this whole table here. And I know when you speak for the whole table, I know that. But I think we gotta get a stronger message out
You know,
somehow.
we've been running around for years, and let's go 20 years on this.
Mhm.
And, you know, at one point it was all on the Board of Management. Then it's all on the ministry. Well, we went to the ministry, we spoke to the minister. Minister said, she told us that she'd be meeting with us. She told us that it would be resolved before AMO this year. And, we sent a reminder. And she hasn't, answered to it yet. And, throw in there the Castle Home versus Castle Arms. So there's a lot of moving parts there, but, the group of four the immediate group here that support, you know, the nursing home here in Mattawa is vocal, and, we want out, and we're keeping the pressure on.
Good.
Okay, municipality of Wawa and town of Ubbridge, accessible and effective alcohol container return system in Ontario. Comments? Councillor Gardner?
Just quickly, that part of me is okay with supporting it, because I do think that it's very vague right now, and I'd like to see them do a better job of coming up with a way for returns coming up after January 1st. But at the same time, I think it's all for nothing. Like, why don't we just recycle the cans like we do with all of our pop cans?
Right.
Like, why not just not charge a deposit and then not have collection and then recycle it with the provincial program that already recycles cans? It just, and glass and everything else that they're talking about. So I don't see what the point is anymore in the return. Now that there's a provincial program that recycles the same across the board in every community.
Well, I think if you read the correspondence fully, it's job losses that go along with that, and some people, and they say especially seniors and low-income people count on those returns, you know, to subsidize their income.
Just a
So,
bottle dryers.
yeah, so.
We can help them by making their beer cheaper though.
I know,
That's what.
I know. Councillor Levesque.
I talked to Shelley at the LCBO in Mattawa, and they're gonna be a return depot for all glass and cans, because that's part of their new contract that they got with the beer store. Now, this here is telling us that all outlets, doesn't matter if it's the gas station or a variety store that's selling this stuff, gonna have to pick up after January 1st to take returns. This is what I would.
4,000 square feet or more.
So are you asking the table if they want to support this? No, just leaving it go. 8.8, strategic plan working group, minutes of the October 22 meeting. Any questions or comments on it? None? 8.9, Ontario Clean Water Agency, Water and Wastewater System Quarterly Operations Report. Questions, comments? Yes, Councillor Ross.
So I don't understand the water system very well. But there seems to be a lot of pumping stations that are having trouble with things being clogged and not working. Like, is there anything we can do to improve that, or?
Well, the two that went down are 40 years old.
Okay.
So I think they don't owe us anything. And so it's unfortunate, but it's an expense that we have to absorb. Other than that, you know, they say, I read the report, and unflushable tissues are found in the impeller and that kind of stuff.
Okay.
It's, you know, other than prohibiting the sale of it, you're not gonna control that. You know,
I know at one time somebody has said something about the size of the pipe. They were supposed to, they had talked about changing the size of the pipe and.
the pipe has no issues there.
Oh,
It all happens in the wet wells.
okay,
So, and it's the pumps that pump it through those pipes. So the pipes are not an issue. Like a lot of
Okay.
places, they're like what's pumped up to the lagoons is 10 inch. So that's more than enough. Well,
okay,
most homes have a 4 to 5 inch
Yeah,
sewage
okay.
coming out. So then it falls into the towns, which is bigger, and
oh, and then it goes.
gravity takes it into a wet well. And then that wet well pumps it up somewhere else. Gravity brings it to another well. And so I do understand the system.
You've been in there.
Yeah, but,
Just every time you read it, something's plus.
but,
something's plus.
yeah, and the wells, the wells that you're talking about, both of those didn't even have an impeller. And not only impellers, they also have grinders. They're grinding wheels on them.
Mhm.
So that's what new ones have. So,
Okay.
so you're looking at
Well-
1992.
Yeah,
You know, that those were installed and while they tried to fix one, they couldn't. Pieces, parts are obsolete, the pump itself is
Yeah,
obsolete.
so we're getting a
They
new one.
combined both the damaged pump to fix one, well, that one went down also. You know, so,
I think we just purchased one too.
yeah,
yeah,
we'll be purchasing another one soon. We'll try and try that, let you know. Okay. No other questions about the Aqua report, okay, quarterly report. 8.10, Phenom, final report on internal migration to Northern Ontario. Comments? None? That's a long,
It was a good report.
big one.
Yeah. Actually, they were doing this.
Well, next.
yeah, I just gotta go back, I went to the end of my document there, so.
No, 811, sorry.
What was there? Okay, 811, letter from Stephen Galka. Request to waive planning fees for minor variance file A1-25. It's addressed to myself as the mayor. So if anybody can enlighten me with what the issue is here, or Councillor Blake.
When we had the committee of adjustment, he made a presentation for his property where he wanted a part of a garage and a shed removed because he was going to build another one behind. And the fees that he's discussing is the engineering fees, G2P, G2, whatever you want to call them. They were there to formulate the whole plan. So if we're going to give him a rebate of this money, then we're going to have to do it every other ones that was charged by our engineer for the on-site planning. So I don't think that we're not going to start now. And then when he was here at the meeting, and correct me if I'm wrong, Matt, you were here too, is that he agreed with everything, was no problem. And now he's saying this amount is too excessive. So I don't agree with it.
Councillor Ross?
It was an engineer needed for this,
They do all the work for us.
but was an engineer needed for this? Yeah.
It wasn't an engineer we needed, it was a planner.
The consultant.
Okay,
I call it engineer because that's a company. But anyway.
But there are our engineers and planners of record,
okay.
okay? Councillor Gardner?
Yeah, we had a couple of them and they're so far and in between. This one was in March, so it's a little ways away. I don't really recall the whole thing, but I do know that when we pass them, part of the conditions is that they are responsible for all the costs. We don't give them a number of what those costs are, so maybe the cost came in higher than expected. And it's not the first time that I've heard this. I did get a complaint from another member that had an issue, kind of similar to this. They wanted to, go against our official plan that we have now to build a smaller place. Anyways, they thought the fees were a lot. I do like having the planners, to bounce those ideas off of. Most times, I think some of our things most of the things that come to the Committee of Adjustment are pretty straightforward. So maybe just like a quick email from staff to them and not having them actually on the call, might save us a couple bucks or something, but in the end, we're open for business. We want people to build here and to expand here. So maybe we need to look at how we charge these fees, in this case, it might be a shed or a garage. It's an accessory building. But in another case, it might be a new home. And then, if it means us eating a little bit of the costs with the planners to gain the tax base moving forward, well, then it might be worth it for us. But something to review. I do know that the fees get carried away pretty quick. I don't remember this one exactly, so I can't speak.
Can I ask staff maybe is there anything you can come up with? If you can explain the procedure and what the issue is, please.
Well, as Councillor, I think it was Mike said, he did apply to the Committee of Adjustment to allow minor variance to have more square footage for his accessory buildings. Right, so you're only allowed 780, you add another 100, I forget, I don't go beyond that, 130 square feet more to keep it, you want to keep it better shading to the back. So we had got the planners involved in that, and he wanted to put another driveway in off of Madeline Street. So that gets kind of complicated when you start to do that. The other part for minor variance for asking for more square footage is pretty minimal, but the driveway part, that's where we got that's probably where the bigger part of the bill comes from.
Okay, so there's no mention in this letter of a driveway application, so, okay.
Did he maybe get rid of that driveway application?
But the place is for sale.
It was included with Committee of Adjustment file.
And you saw it.
Can I ask a simple question to staff? Did we follow policy here? Did we,
Yes.
so. Okay, so if
So if I may,
yes, please.
when people come in and request a Committee of Adjustment, they're given the application. They speak to both Wayne and I, Wayne for the technical stuff and then me for the user fees end of it. They are all advised that we use planners, that JP2G is our planner. And when they pay their fee, which is this year, I believe it was $500 to apply for the Committee of Adjustment, plus a $100 deposit towards all planning fees that the applicant is to bear. They are advised that we don't know what those fees are whatsoever. We only know that once the file is completed. So in this case here, we've had 3 files this year, and they're told verbatim the exact same thing. All municipal staff can tell you that. They've all witnessed this. So we've had 1 file where the fees were $600, and we've had 2 fees where they were this price here, the exact same amount. So all policies have been followed with all Committee Adjustment files.
And the price depends on the amount of work that they put into the application.
Correct.
Okay,
Because the planners provide us, they look into the property files, they look into our official plan, our zoning plan, and they provide us with a very detailed report for the committee to review as well. And if we ask them, they are online for the committee to, if they have any planning questions, because we no longer have a planner on staff. We do need to rely on JP2G for all of our planning stuff for the committees.
okay. Yes, Wayne?
And as Councilor Gregor said, the more complicated the application is, of course, the more you're going to need a planner to look into things. And when it's not complicated, just adjusting your square footage is pretty minor, so.
So the bottom line is if he's asking that for us to, he's appealing those charges, he wants us to make them disappear. Well, then someone else, another property owner is paying for those. Is it right saying that?
Yes.
I don't mean the next door neighbor is gonna pay for it, but everybody as taxpayers pick it up. So it's gotta be fair. If it's something for your own benefit, okay, I'm gonna ask I'm gonna ask the staff to reply. You've heard what was said here, and I'll let the Council Gardner go first, and he's gotta know that, policy was followed. He chose to omit the driveway, so that, to me, that's a different story now. And it is what it is, Councilor Gardner.
I remember this one now. It took me a while to find as soon as it started talking about it. Yeah, so the other driveway and the other issue that was made kind of known to us was that it is in a floodplain, and we were given all the elevations, the elevation of the house, the elevation of the floodplains, all of that stuff from the planners. And basically kind of hinted at, it's not a great idea to build it there. But we let it go because we wanted to see them get what they wanted, and they have a house there already. The house would be impacted before the garage was impacted and all of those things. But, those costs were associated with all of those things. So yeah, that was omitted. The other driveway was omitted in the letter, and the floodplain issues were omitted from the letter.
Don't forget the windows in the garage too was adjusted.
Yeah.
All right, so thank you for that. Is it fair to ask staff to prepare a response on my behalf? And I'll sign it. I'll be more than happy to sign it.
What was the lot number? Where was this?
391. 391 Matawan, I believe.
Madeline Street.
This is Dixon's
Building garage. Madeline Street.
Poplar and Matawan. Corner of Poplar and Matawan.
Yeah, 391 Matawan Street.
Okay, that was going by Razor, that's what it was.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Matt, you said, yeah, my son owned it. Okay. So anything else on this one? Everyone okay with staff
Yes.
preparing a letter on my behalf to send back, and hopefully we can resolve this. 8.12 Ministry Municipal Affair and Housing 2025 Norton Municipal Council Workshops. Comments, questions? None. Number 9, Standing Committee Recommendations, Report and Motions, none. Information reports and motions, 10.1.
Mr. Chaput.
Let me get to it here. So 10.1 is titled Encroachment Agreement for Committee of Adjustment, file A1-24. It was prepared by municipal clerk and the chief building official, and it is report number 25-71R. Amy and Wade.
So again, for the committee adjustment, a little background. In 2024, the committee met, Mrs. Cullen Doctor requested to build a deck onto her home. Now, the way her house was situated, it was very special and unique circumstance. That a portion of her front stairs was on municipal sidewalks. So the Committee of Adjustment did grant her request in order to build a deck, with one of the conditions being an encroachment agreement with the municipality for the frontage of her property. So she was to work with her lawyer and come up with this encroachment agreement, which she has. It was submitted to us. So now we are bringing it to council to get the approval to move ahead with this agreement. And if you approve this, then we will bring back the bylaw for the agreement at the next meeting, and the encroachment agreement is attached to this report as well, which was created by Ballin Partners.
So I'll add to that. Mr. Gardner, Councillor Gardner was where you were on that. So the community adjustments for her to build an extension for it yet. Wanted to build a bigger extension, which wasn't allowed, so I did the 9% profits, which she had to hold it back. The stairs, the encroachment, what we're talking about is the front concrete walkway. There's three, as you can see on the drawing, three things that are from encroachment. So that's basically just put the municipality to save our butt if something, something happens on that piece of land that's encroaching onto municipal property. And it says that on part number 3 that, that the municipality is harmful from, she falls on it or somebody falls on it and wants to sue or something, but just saying that we're not part of that.
That was including the Generac, okay?
Or Generac's not on town property.
No, okay, I thought it was, okay.
So you're telling me if someone falls off of that porch, it's.
No, we're not talking about the porch. It's just a walkway. You can see it on the drawing on the.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not, has nothing to do with committee of adjustment.
I thought I saw something about a cement,
Yeah, cement walkway and.
Cement walkway, yes.
So it's the walkways in front of her
yeah,
house.
yeah, and that's what I'm saying,
And
so.
we were just taking our opportunity to get an encroachment. That was our
Yeah,
opportunity. while
okay,
they
so
were
maybe I
planning this.
used the wrong, word, the cement, that's encroaching the town.
Yeah,
If someone injures themselves there, you're telling me that the homeowner is liable, not the town.
That's right.
Okay, I didn't know that.
That's part of what they.
And if they ever take it apart,
Yeah, they want to rebuild and they have to stay on their own property.
okay,
Take it
okay,
down,
just
stay on
wanted
their own
to,
property.
and that was, all agreed with the, committee of adjustment and just.
Well, that was part of the stipulation. It was in my report that you go through because this, I don't know how you got this, but this owner did not. There's a couple of parties in the past that had enforcement agreements. But this was missed when she bought it. The last two owners were missed, so thought it'd be a good time to get it. put in.
Oh, okay, understood. Councillor Gardner?
Yeah, and just quickly, I remember this one specifically. This one was a unique one too. Because if you look at the plan, there's actually encroachment on the property behind too. The house is actually built. And I can't remember, it was like a foot and a half or something like that. The house was actually built on the property and behind it. So it's a very unique situation. And I think staff just thought it was a good opportunity to get that encroachment done at the same time while we had a little bit of leverage. You can't build your deck unless you do this. And so they've done that.
The same thing with that encroachment in the back.
She can't follow the back part of her house.
No.
Because it's encroaching, so she has to come in. I can't, I think it was a foot, 1.2 feet, so she has to come in to her deck.
So shrink her deck a bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I have a
property.
Councillor Levesque?
That overhanging deck in the back of the house that goes over on the property.
On the opposing property.
Yes, so that was put up illegally. It was,
It's been there for a while.
I know it's been, I remember who put it up there, but the thing is, there's nothing you can do unless the owner of that property requests it to be taken out of the way.
That's the civil issue, yeah.
Okay,
Between both of us.
because I know we had mentioned about it before, so.
Yes, that's between both.
Okay.
That unless the building permit was issued.
Yep.
For that, and then, municipality could be in harm's way, but,
Okay.
I looked and there was never a building permit issued for that.
All right, I'm good.
Did you have anything to add, Ian?
This house.
No.
No?
Used to be called.
Thank you.
Okay, so moved by, Councillor Gardner.
Before that, it was Cody.
Yes.
Well, we just said it 4 times, somebody else said it. That's why I was a little weary.
Yeah.
Okay, so moved by Councillor Gardner, seconded by Councillor Levesque. Be it resolved that council of the town of Mattawa received report number 25-71R titled Encroachment Agreement for Committee of Adjustment File A1-24. And further that council approves the encroachment agreement for the location 250 Bank Street and directs the clerk to return at the next regular meeting with the bylaw to enter into an agreement. Questions, comments? Okay, I'll call for a vote. Councillor Mick?
Yes.
Yes, okay, and rest of the table, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Ten point two. Prepared by Councillor Bigelow and Councillor Mick. It's titled Community Safety and Wellbeing in Mattawa. Report number 25-72R.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll do most of the talking as Lauren is virtual, but he can obviously chime in at any time. I'll also try and surmise this, so I'll be very straightforward. I try to bring up the idea of implementing a community safety and wellbeing committee and specifically to Mattawa. I'm aware that we do have a joint one, but we're talking about just Mattawa. So I'd like to surmise, I'm going to try and just go through the 5 background points. So 1 and 2, if you go to the next page, the current context in Mattawa. So I'm just going to back up just a little bit first of all. So it's one of those topics that I believe after we read this, and even if we do not implement a committee, we are very manageable right now. The actual context in Mattawa is actually good, even though we're going off of numbers that the government is actually giving us instead of us actually knowing. Anyways, okay, so they basically say that of our population size, there's about 1 to 2% of the population is at risk of homelessness. So when I was researching all this and along with Lauren and then with at the conferences of communicating with other people, it really did change my mind of what homelessness actually is. And when we use that word homelessness, you should be using it more as a risk evaluation. So technically anybody in this room has the potential to be homeless. I'm not sure if I had mentioned it, but the goal of the committee is to target the homelessness of populations, the low income populations, which is a large portion of Mattawa, and then all the vulnerable sectors. The reason why I also say that we're at a really good point right now is because I think that with little money and with implementing a committee or a group of people to do this, we can transition out of the hidden crisis and then just focus on the low income people. And then with the economic developments, we're away to the races. So the double-edged sword that with statistics, and although I'm seeing the positive side of this. So when we talk about the development of Dorian Road, and I think that's actually wonderful. Technically, if you take 1 or 2% of that, there's a risk of homelessness there, even though we're developing towards the low income people. That really made me go, how is that actually true or not? But the only way to actually know is to actually get the real stats. So moving forward, so essentially the stigma that I've had of homelessness has absolutely changed. It's more of a risk evaluation. Okay, so then the action plan. So the possible actions, Lauren and I kind of surmised all of this. Some of these were actually from other communities, what they're doing. Again, just to label it off as like shelter and housing supply, support services, prevention. You notice the check mark for increased affordable housing. We are trying to do that right now with the development of the Dorian Hill. So I'm just going to keep going through here. Okay, so what the community safety and committee actually is and our involvement. So our director of community services will provide the strategic leadership and oversight of the programs related to housing, homelessness, social support, and community well-being. And the committee, nobody can do this all by themselves. So the committee would be made up of professionals from social workers, physicians, DSAB can partner up, AMH, the limit is kind of limitless, and we can use their grants and their professionalism. It gets funded, or it gets feeded through the director, and then the director comes back to us. So we, for lack of better words, we still have control of the incentives and the ideas that they're coming up with. And then I put the strategic priorities and actions of how we would kind of see it. Laura and I kind of put in our own little thoughts of this. The reason why I wanted to come back to old business as well is that this can definitely change, and it is dynamic. And I'm very anxious for the input. I apologize if I'm flying through this. Just trying not to take up too much time. So phase one, along with this committee, would be obviously to implement it and start applying to grants. So there was the HPP grant that was in the beginning. So essentially, if we align our committee with the core values of what the HPP program is going to give money for, then we're going to get that money. So in terms of phase one, implementing references for all available services. This is something that either we could do, or again, the Community Safety Board, committee can do as well. So there are so many services available, but trying to navigate them, like trying to find them, trying to, like the average person, in my opinion, can't do it. So as an example, when Scott's was closing down and we have 10 people or more that are more of the low income, what are the services that are going to help them bridge to get to the next job? What is available, instead of always feeling like they're alone? And then lastly, I'm very excited about the economic development officer. And so Laura and I kind of talked about how the collaboration of both of these things, especially with our developments coming up, we're going to, like, in my opinion, eliminate homelessness, because it is actually quite small right now, and we can, it's our physical responsibility right now to actually do something about it, and we can eradicate that. And then we are focused on our low-income people, which is a very big force of Mattawa. And I think that we are on the right track. Lauren and I's advice would be to implement this to then create the overall foundation. Bluntly, it's again like putting a bunch of professionals together with the rights. I have talked to some social workers, and they just love this idea. And they're not going to be paid for it. And we essentially use them, and we make our community safer and better. I was trying to surmise as much as possible. But did you have anything to say, Councillor Mack?
Yeah, if I may, just kind of dovetail onto Spencer's summarization. I just wanted to reiterate that this is another good example of sort of actionable items that came directly from attending the conferences. It aligns with our proposed strategic plan, which we talked about earlier. I like the multi-sector collaboration, which is also sort of included in our strategic plan. We're identifying issues before they escalate to kind of keep things at bay when they're at a manageable level before having to take more drastic approaches. Again, this consolidation of services, it makes a lot of sense for rural communities like ours. In the city, you have everything concentrated in downtown cores. You have clinics and services popping up all over the place, but in more rural areas, these issues are a little more spread out, right? So there's that barrier of distance as well. I know I've had to drive to North Bay many a times to get sort of procedural stuff done, and this is kind of just that little step towards getting things a little more accessible for people in Mattawa. I wanted to reiterate the increased eligibility for funding when we're having these multi-sector collaborations, which is a really big positive. Bit of a side note, I think it also supports reconciliation from this table as well, right? Because Indigenous folks and minorities are more susceptible to these service gaps that we experience in rural sections. So that's another good not feel good, but a good step towards, doing good from this table. And I love that sort of story of eliminating homelessness. We are a small community geographically and population wise, right? So I think that's an achievable goal. And it's another fantastic story of something, huge that could come from this table with a little bit of forethought and some organizing through this committee. Part of the old business, I'd love to kind of hear input from staff as well too, how the sort of configuration of the committee might look and how much the level of involvement the town would have. But I think this is a fantastic sort of response to some gaps in social services that we're being stuck with. Thank you.
Okay, questions for him?
So I think this is good that this is even being looked at. This is great. There are a couple of things that I just want to mention. I noticed in here you have a launcher rent and utilities arrears fund. There actually is that. You can apply to Lippy for having arrears paid. There is also LEAP, which helps with gas and hydro, so that if people are behind on that, they can give them money. That you make the application, they would help them. So I could see if the committee, once it was formed, if it would partner with possibly Canadian Mental Health Association, which is not very far away, provide people with the information they would need. And with just doing a few things, this could actually turn out to probably work out very well for people, because a lot of people just don't know what's available to them and how to go about getting it. Like when I worked at the shelter, one thing that is good is because we help people do that, because we know how to navigate the system, how to get the ins and outs. So yeah, I think this is very good and good work on doing all this.
Thanks.
Very good.
Councillor Gardner?
Yeah, just quickly. I think that I agree that part of the biggest problem is that there are a lot of services out there, probably more than a lot of people know about. There is a lack of services in some senses too, but it's navigating where and how, because it's not centralized. It's not one place that you go that helps you with everything. It's this place for that and that place for that, and this place is in North Bay and they come down this. And so there's just so many different places to go that I can understand how somebody would have difficulty with that. So especially in a lot of those situations, it's probably a lot like Councillor Ross said, where they need assistance in doing that. It's not just directing them where the service is, it's they need the help to get through the process of obtaining the service. So maybe as a town, we could do something to help try to facilitate getting those services together in one central location, a certain amount of times per year or a month or whatever is needed. To help those people. I agree that, like you said, I did know about that. I did know about Lippy and that was an option. So that was something that was in here that, maybe wasn't known while writing the report, and just having that conversation a little bit with people who are experienced brings out some of those availabilities. So I'd be okay with kind of moving it forward a little bit and, kind of seeing what we can do with it. The committee gets pretty, like the committee proposal, it gets pretty big really quick if you start including everybody. So maybe keeping that down a little bit to kind of try to keep the focus would be good. But I think that there's small things that the town can do. I've always thought that we have the food bank that is run outside of us, but maybe in conjunction with the food bank, we could help offer services at the same location, maybe in the arena at that time, on the same day as the food bank. They're already there. They can get their other services while they're there. I feel all we have to offer is the space for them. You know, I don't think that it's a secret that those people don't have access to, homeless people don't have access to basic things like facilities to shower, and we have 6 empty change rooms for the majority of the day. And so maybe we can come up with times where we could offer some services like that to have people go in and just have that basic human necessity. But anyways, further things to talk about down the road, but I like the initiative and getting there, and yeah, hate to see anybody in that situation, so.
Any comment?
No, I agree with Councillor Gardner. I think a program and a plan should be put together to make sure that whatever the necessary needs would meet their criteria, and put it in place and see what happens, and get, I like the idea these guys are gonna get government involvement and medical assistance, part of the committee, like a doctor or a nurse practitioner. So there's lots to digest in this, but it's a good step forward. So the only thing is make sure that the implementation is done properly, and the committee is, like you said, experienced and a lot of knowledge, and see what happens.
Councillor Tiber, any comments?
No.
I'll throw in my 2 cents. There's a lot in there, a lot to digest. My first reaction is, if someone wants to champion this, great. You know, because you will need someone to champion it. You know, even with the conversations we had a little earlier tonight, we still got to realize that we work on a limited budget.
Yes.
And if we go out and ask the taxpayers of the municipality to contribute even more, we're going to be creating homelessness. Because I hear it every day that people are, you know, paycheck to paycheck and penny to penny to make ends meet, and to make sure that the utilities are paid and that. So we have to be, and you've addressed that with low income situations here and all that. I like the idea that to involve all the groups. I like the idea of, you know, utilizing what's out there already. And because they probably have access to funds that the town doesn't.
Right.
And I want to remind everybody that in all this kind of work, the town of Mattawa already supplies very close to $500,000, if not more, annually, you know, through
DSAP.
through DSAP, through Lippy, through everywhere we contribute our affordable senior housing, Castle Home, physician recruitment, that's all tied in. It's all tied in, and it's money that, you know, as long as we're mindful of that, I'm okay with it. So. Any other comments? Questions? Okay, so I won't even ask for a mover and a seconder, because I'm gonna say this motion is moved by Councillor Bigelow and seconded by Councillor Mick. Be it resolved that Council of the Town of Mattawa receives report number 25-72R titled Community Safety and Wellbeing in Mattawa. And further that Council put this report on old business for future discussions. Questions, comments? None? I'm going to call for a vote. Councillor Mick?
Yes.
And rest of the table, all in favor? Carried. Ten point three. Okay, this one was prepared by municipal clerk. It's titled Appointment of Committee of Adjustment Members for 2026. And it is report number 25-73R. Amy?
So every year, council must appoint 3 members to the Committee of Adjustment. So we're doing it matching a little earlier this year. In preparation for 2026. Considering we only have 1 meeting in December, staff would like to get this bylaw passed at that last meeting. So along with 3 members of council, as you know, there is 1 member at large. Mr. Darcy Lamette is currently appointed to the Committee of Adjustment, where he will sit until the end of 2026. So what I am asking right now is for council to discuss, and if you can choose 3 members of council that you would like to represent Committee of Adjustment for 2026, so that we can bring it back for formal adoption by bylaw to December 8th meeting.
I would like to continue.
Is that what you're doing too? Okay,
I can continue.
well, the 3 that are presently on it, are leaving their name stand, if everyone's okay with that.
I'm fine.
Councillor Pibear?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Looks like there's some opposition there.
Yeah, for a second, and are you okay with Bigelow, Levesque, and Gardner, Councillor Mick?
Yeah, sounds great to me.
Okay. Who wants to move that?
I'll move it.
So the motion is moved by Councillor Ross, seconded by Councillor Tiber. Be it resolved that Council of the Corporation of the Town of Mattawa receives report number 25-73R titled Appointment of Committee of Adjustment Members for 2026. And further that Council appoints councillors Bigelow, Levesque, and Gardner to the Committee of Adjustment for 2026, which will be formally adopted by bylaw at the next meeting of council. Questions, comments? Going to call for a vote. Councillor Mick
Yes.
and the rest of us, all in favor? Carried. Okay, next we have a bylaw 11.1 on our agenda. So it's bylaw 25-16 to dissolve standing committees of council. Being a bylaw to repeal bylaw number 2406 and dissolve the standing committees of council. We need a mover and a seconder.
What applies?
Record a vote, please.
Okay, so the motion is moved by Councillor Levesque, seconded by Councillor Gardner. And the recorded vote is being requested by Councillor Tiber. Be it resolved that Council of the Corporation of the Town of Mattawa adopt bylaw 25-16, being a bylaw to repeal bylaw 24-06 and dissolve the standing committees of council. Questions, comments? None.
Councillor Tiber,
No.
Councillor Levesque,
Yes.
Councillor Gardner,
Yes.
Councillor Mick,
Yes.
Councillor Ross,
Yes.
Councillor Bigelow,
No.
and Mayor Boulanger.
No.
Motion is carried with a recorded vote of 4 yeas and 3 nays.
Thank you. Number 12, old business, so I'll just rhyme them off, and if someone has something to throw in, so 12.1, renaming Herdman Street request for Chick Webster. Councillor Gardner?
Yeah, like I think of old business as things for us to still action at the council level. I think that this one, it sounds like is taken care of and they're on it and they have a plan for it, so I'd request that that one be taken off full business. And staff just make sure that it is seen through.
We okay with that? As long as we don't forget to do it now.
That's what was discussed at last meeting.
Yeah.
I wasn't there for that. But yeah.
12.2, business organization signage policy. Nothing. 12.3, Fanon correspondence consultation on natural gas expansion in Ontario. Nothing. 12.4, 2026 tax rebates for vacant lots. In process. 12.5, commercial recycling, commercial tax rate adjustment. Also in process. And 12.6, street lights on Mackenzie Street. Councillor Gardner.
Just I had, I can't remember if we talked about it last meeting or not, but that I seen it when I was in your office, the study that was done. Can that just be shared with all of council? I think it just,
Certainly.
we're talking about it. I think it makes sense to read it. It was interesting for me to see, so.
What was the stuff?
Light study.
Oh, we know.
Yeah, we did like
Yeah.
study about, I don't know, I want to say 8 years ago, something like that, yeah. Just a note on that, like. I'm aware that it's costly to put up extra lighting, but possibly we could have maybe brighter lighting, which would carry further than the minimum lighting that is there. So maybe that's an option, as opposed to Dexter has great guy that does big lighting, big lighting. So we could maybe look at that.
Well, back then I had mentioned some people find the highway dark,
Mhm,
use those
mhm,
in town and
yeah,
eventually replace with a bigger light on the highway.
LEDs are very strong.
What's that?
LED lights.
They're all,
LED,
every single light in town,
yeah, they're just, some are very.
except a
big.
few posts at the marina. Everything else is. Okay, any other comments? No? No new business? Questions from the public? Yes, sir. Pertaining to the agenda.
So you guys are aware I came up here from Toronto, and living in Toronto. We're 50 meters away from the fire department. 8 up to 15 calls a day, so sometimes you get a call right after another, and the station can be empty. So from the closest fire station to that, take the employee, lights a siren, and the truck will come by and make sure that they have one there. So looking at 8.4 proposal for my one, I'm wondering, is that process up here at all? I know you have to late, but I guess Mr. Levesque would be the best person to ask. Do they have that sort of practice up here where no station would be left short-handed and, you know, they have multiple calls at once?
We do have mutual aid here.
That's a mutual aid, but like the staff, it's, and say this was in effect, you go up, you do a call to do the extrication, your station is left empty, you can get maybe Papillon to come by, staff the station at their own convenience, not race down and whatnot. It's just so that we have everybody covered. That's a little different than mutual aid, but is that the kind of practice that's done up here, you know, in the region district of Nipissing?
What happens when there's a call goes out and Mattawa has a portion of their firefighters gone out, then we usually call Papineau to be on standby.
Yeah.
And if there's a call, then they would answer, providing they have the manpower, right? Mr. Bigelow?
Yeah.
So that's basically the same.
Okay, so pretty well the same.
Well, I'm not saying, I'm not in favor of supporting that. Actually.
Councillor Gardner wanted to answer your question too.
Yeah, and I just think that I just wanted to note that our fire hall is pretty much always empty, right? Like there's not any staff on there at any time. Everybody is basically on call, right? Like, so
They're full.
in some of those southern ones, you may have part-time or full-time firefighters that are there. And then they're transferring to another station, which isn't a big deal because they're already working. But we already have a hard enough time with our fire department and keeping members. So If you're now asking them to leave their job or to leave their families, during another station's call to go and transfer station and sit and wait, that's probably a lot to ask of volunteers. So I think mutual aid is just probably, it's not ideal, but it's probably the best solution that we have without, wearing down our volunteers. And in theory, every call that would go on the highway would have to call Papineau to come sit in our fire hall, and then their fire hall would sit empty. So then who fills their fire hall? And it just kind of trickles down.
Councilor Beck, they are put on standby, they're on call. Basically, it's okay. On their full-time job up here, it's volunteers, but it's various. Thanks.
Okay, anything else? No? Okay, so next one is we're going into a closed session. So I need a mover and a seconder.
Sure. You get my report? For 231?
It's on.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay. That's what always says, it's.
Sure, I know.
Just a comment after you.
So I have a motion here moved by Councillor Bigelow, seconded by Councillor Ross. Be it resolved that council proceed in camera session pursuant to section 239(2) of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended at 8:16 p.m. in order to address the following. Item 15.2, litigation matter, litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board. Comments, questions?
Yeah, just a comment. I've run out of time here. I have another commitment at 8:30, so I have to leave. I did have an update for council in the in-camera session. I'll just ask that either the mayor or the CAO, they're both aware of the update that I was going to provide. So if one of them could relay that information for me, and we'll catch up with you guys the next one.
Want to drop the sheet off to the CEO, then that's perfect.
My apologies. I have nobody else to cover for me, so I have no choice but to do it.
Okay, so I'm going to call for a vote. Councillor Mick
Yes.
and the rest of the table, all in favor? Carry.
Yes. You got the.
I have a motion moved by Councillor Levesque, seconded by Councillor Ross. Be it resolved that the regular meeting reconvene at 8:48 p.m. Questions, comments? All in favor? Carried. So we went into a closed meeting to discuss possible litigation matter, and no motions were passed in the closed meeting. So I need a mover and a seconder to close the meeting. So moved by Councillor Bigelow, seconded by Councillor Ross. Be it resolved that this regular meeting adjourn at 8:49 p.m. Questions, comments? All in favor? Carried.
Yes, yeah, that'll disappear.